Hello viewers, welcome to another edition of National Focus. I'm your presenter Tarnia Green. It's always a pleasure to have you join us. Topping the headlines, 2013-2014 budget to be presented on July 24. 2 additional ambulances presented to the Fire and Ambulance Services Department to serve the communities of Grand Bay and St. Joseph. And Prime Minister Skerritt makes valuable contribution to the Grotto Home for the homeless. Stay with me as I bring you the details right after the break.
Scary! Everything just shaking and making big creaky noises.
Earthquakes, big and small, take place in the Caribbean at least 10 times a year.
The dishes rattling and falling and breaking, then Vonnie started to scream.
All I could think to do was shout, "Get outside, get out!"
Earthquakes, hazards, take control, reduce your loss. If an earthquake hits, what can you do? Get down, get under an item of furniture like a table. Hold on and stay there until the quake passes. Find out lots more about earthquakes and other hazards at your local disaster office. A message from your National Disaster Office and Sidera.
The facts as they are, brought to you every day, only on GIS Channel 7.
Welcome back. Time now for the details of the news. The much anticipated 2013-2014 national budget will be presented at the Parliament on Wednesday, 24th July from 10 in the morning. Prime Minister and Finance Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt made the announcement during a live interview with state-owned DBS Radio on Thursday. Taking into account the current global financial crisis, Prime Minister Skerritt noted that this will be an important budget for the country and assured the nation that all safety nets will be protected in the upcoming budget. The Prime Minister said one of the most important aspects of the budget will be making more allocations to the Ministry of Health, specifically for the purchase of a mammogram and an MRI. He noted that as leader of the country, he is very concerned about nationals having to go to Antigua, Barbados and Martinique to get MRIs done. In this regard, the Prime Minister said his cabinet has made provisions for the purchase of 3 essential machines and an additional CT scan, among others. The country's leader also described the budget as very forward-looking and progressive and said it will ensure that appropriate funding will continue to be made available to all sectors, including education, the elderly, children, and the most vulnerable groups. He noted that there will be an increase in assistance for a number of groups who provide care for the elderly, namely the Grotto Home for the homeless and the Dominica Infirmary. The Prime Minister said the budget will also seek to address short-term unemployment as well as additional policy measures to address long-term unemployment. In other news, the Ministry of Sports hosted its 21st annual School Sports Awards ceremony at the Public Service Training Center last Saturday. Honorable Justina Charles, Minister for Sports, revealed that throughout the year, her ministry via the Sports Division implemented several training programs in schools across the island. She says that this ceremony is to award those who took advantage of these opportunities.
We all know that people love to be recognized for their achievements, and our students are no exception. This ceremony serves as a motivation for you students to continue to excel and to promote even greater participation by other students. To the principals, teachers, and students of the various schools present here this morning, I say congratulations. Let these awards spur you on to greater things.
The theme for the ceremony was Sports Participation Leads to Limitless Prospects.
Sports participation leads to limitless prospects is indeed fitting because in today's world, the opportunities created through sports are endless. We all know that sports participation has many benefits. Sports and active physical engagements are effective tools for promoting wellness, preventing the onset and managing chronic non-communicable diseases, diseases that cost the state exorbitant amount of money to manage. Some of our young sports achievers have traveled to various countries to represent this country at various sport meets. This weekend, some of our young outstanding cricketers will travel to Barbados and Jamaica to participate in the game of cricket.
Featured Speaker Irvin Tosh Williams in his address chose to highlight the physical, social and moral benefits of active participation in sports.
Sports provide a unique opportunity for you students to acquire physical, social and personal benefits that can help you throughout your lives. Data provided in an American College of Sports Medicine article indicated that student athletes generally do better at school. The article linked increased physical activity with a resulting positive effect on concentration, memory, and classroom behavior.
He says the positive aspects of sports far surpasses negative behaviors, which comes as a result of the need to win at any cost.
There is always the possibility where the emphasis is placed on the wrong things, like winning at all costs. I am sure that you have heard of doping and bribery and match fixing in sports. Some coaches and sportsmen and women will do anything to win. However, these risks or negatives do not cancel out all the positives that can and do occur in sports.
Students of primary and secondary schools and the Dominica State College received awards for outstanding performances in football, netball, volleyball, cricket, athletics, basketball, and table tennis. In other news, the Fire and Ambulance Department now has the services of 2 ambulances, thanks to the government of Dominica and the genius work of local fire officers. 2 minibuses were converted into functional ambulances by Substation Officer Edson Alexander and his team of fire officers. The decision to convert the minibuses to ambulances was taken as government urgently needed the services of additional ambulances to serve the communities of St. Joseph and Grand Bay. National Security Minister Honorable Charles Savran explained that purchasing new ambulances from abroad would mean a 4-month waiting process for the vehicles to get on the island. With this in mind, Minister Savran said government decided on a more immediate course of action.
And after consultation with the fire service, it was agreed that in an effort to improve the situation in the shortest possible time, that 2 minibuses should be purchased locally at a total cost of $220,000 and converted for use as ambulances, while 1 modern, fully equipped ambulance costing $215,000 would be ordered through our local car dealers. I had the opportunity to inspect the ambulances on Monday, and I am satisfied, as I am sure you will be also, that the mechanics have done a magnificent job in just 2 weeks, enabling us to deploy an ambulance to Grand Bay and 1 to St. Joseph today, just bringing to an end a problem which the people of Grand Bay and the St. Joseph health districts have had to live with for far too long.
The custom-made ambulances, which were named ambulance number 55 and 56, were formally presented to the Fire and Ambulance Service Department during a ceremony at the Fire Services headquarters in Roseau on Thursday.
You will get to see the fantastic craftsmanship of these officers. You know, they actually took regular minibuses and converted it into what I consider to be first-class ambulances.
Chief Fire Officer Josiah Dupey told those gathered at the presentation ceremony that the availability of these added ambulances should not be a reason for fire officers to become complacent. He called on officers to continue to exercise a high level of professionalism on the job.
While we celebrate the craftsmanship and the excellent work of the engineering unit, there is still a requirement from each and every one of us to do our part. They have done theirs. But we need to do, now that the ambulances are going to be deployed, fire officers across the island must continue to do their part. And that includes answering the telephone when it rings. It seems so fundamental to what we should do, but sometimes we find ourselves not on our game. It requires also the kind of response that is reminiscent, that is actually spelled out in our job description, which requires us to respond within a certain time frame to ambulance calls or fire calls. It requires us at all times to also execute our functions with a level of professionalism that, again, is consistent with our task of saving lives.
Meantime, Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security, Immigration and Labour, Stevenson Hyacinth, impressed upon the Fire and Ambulance Services Unit to use the ambulances responsibly.
You are given 2 additional ambulances to enable you to execute your duty with a high level of efficiency and effectiveness. It would be remiss of me if I did not say to you that what you do with these 2 additional ambulances, how you treat them, how you use them, will demonstrate how much pride and honor you place in your profession.
Mr. Hyacinth encouraged those who will drive the ambulances to take care of them and ensure that they are in constant good working condition. The government, or rather the Dominica Fire and Ambulance Service, is known to respond to an average of 7,000 ambulance calls per year. Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, moved by the plight of the destitute people and the situation at the old Grotto building, has made available $10,000 towards that institution. The cash injection of $10,000, which was promised by Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit during a surprise visit to the institution on Tuesday, was officially presented to the president of the home on Wednesday afternoon. The Prime Minister also pledged an additional $100,000 for the construction of the new Grotto building, which he said would be made available in the next few weeks. The funds presented by the Prime Minister came from the Dominica National Petroleum Company Limited, which is a joint venture company with Petrocaribe. The $100,000 pledged by the Prime Minister will go towards the construction of a new Grotto Home now under construction in Belvidere. The Prime Minister indicated that he will visit the new facility in the next few weeks and will continue to pledge his support towards the assistance of the Grotto Home. The new Grotto Home, which is expected to cost some $2.5 million, will be ready by 2014 and, according to officials, will be home to 100 residents. And Dominicans are being encouraged to seek information on weather conditions only from official sources. Meteorological Officer Marshall Alexander, in an interview with GIS News on Tuesday, informed nationals of the authentic sources of weather-related information.
The Dominica Meteorological Service is the authority in Dominica responsible for disseminating weather information. And we always advise the public to continue to listen to the reports that we issue. and don't get complacent, don't listen to rumors. We have our Weather Hub hotline, which is 447-5555. We have a website, which is www.weather.gov.dm, and we also issue weather reports via radio.
Chief Fire Officer Josiah Dupy says the department's close working relationship with police and the Red Cross has aided in its service delivery to the public. Dupy made the remark during an interview with GIS News earlier this week.
The police and the fire service, for example, we share a common wall which separates both organizations, at least the headquarters. And that, I think, exemplifies the sort of relationship that we've had over the years, and the kind of relationship that I think is so important to these two organizations, because the nature of the work that we do, although in some instances it varies, there are many connecting points that are very similar. And so it is very important that the fire service and the police department have and continue to have a fantastic relationship, all for the benefit of the state and the citizenry that we serve. In the case of the Red Cross, again, by virtue of the type of work and service that the Red Cross provide, and certainly in the case of our ambulance service, what we do, you will notice again a fantastic marriage in terms of those duties, and therefore over time we continue to have a wonderful relationship. And I think that goes to show really that organizations like the Red Cross, the police, and the fire, and since your question was directed at those three, but it's really an indication of organizations that are committed to service. It's not organizations that are prepared to promote themselves, but essentially to promote the sort of service, because our interest really is in impact on the people who are in need.
And finally, this news time, Prime Minister and Parliamentary Representative for the Vacas constituency, Honourable Roosevelt Skerritt, will hold a town hall meeting with residents of Penville and Vacas this evening at the Penville Primary School. During that meeting, the Prime Minister is expected to sign a contract for the rehabilitation of the Vacas to Penville Road. A wide cross-section of the community have been invited to the important town hall meeting, including contractors, masons, carpenters, skilled and semi-skilled, as well as truckers. GIS News will bring you more on the important town hall meeting in Friday's newscast. And before we wrap up tonight's news, we have this important announcement to share with you. The Ministry of Public Works, Energy and Ports informs the general public, especially residents and motorists of Watton-Waven, of the proposed excavation works on the Watton-Waven Road. Motorists and pedestrians are kindly advised of the temporary closure of the said section of road from Friday, July 12th from 8 in the morning until further notice. The general public and residents are further advised to use the Trafalgar to Watton-Waven route during that period. The Ministry of Public Works, Energy and Ports sincerely apologizes for the inconvenience caused. And that's the English segment of the news. Let's now join McPherson, St. Luce for the Creole highlights.
Allô tout le monde, bienvenue à ces nouvelles en créole. Non, moi, c'est McPherson, St. Luce. Premièrement, Premier ministre Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt, qui fait présentation budget national 2013-2014 à le 24 juillet l'année là. Selon Premier ministre Skerritt, budget là qui met en considération bagaille pour continuation développement pays et de tout programme que le gouvernement a engagé comme Yes We Care, occupation des enfants, moun en l'âge en parmi plusieurs d'autres qui continuent pour l'autre l'année financière là. Département santé qui a payé attention si le Premier ministre Skerritt, tout d'autres départements gouvernement en parmi d'autres qui recevent attention si le budget là. En même temps aussi, Premier ministre Skerritt agrément et puis Public Works pour réparation chemin Penville pour Vacas aujourd'hui. Nouvelle en créole qui n'est plus de détails à si wajma sala demain si déblé. En autre nouvelle, ministère des Arts, Honorable Charles Savren, qui a créé à ces populations-là pour préparation mise des Arts. Ministre Savren fait parole celle-là qu'on nous en saison cyclone à présent.
Nous dans saison cyclone. Ça n'a pas changé. Tous les années, nous tenons en saison cyclone. Mais ce n'est pas tous les jours, mais tous les années. avec différentes organisations qui ont gardé temps avec ça dit nous qui ont un mauvais temps qui a venu et pour l'Afrique qui pour une semaine pour arriver ici avec une grande force vent bon peu la pluie l'orage éclair des bagages comme ça et nous savons que quand il y a un hurricane qui c'est la pluie c'est vent c'est flooding la rivière qui descend mauvais la mer des bagages comme ça nous ni toujours pour nous parler pour action pour sauver la vie nous pour sauver propriétaire nous si nous tenons pièces bêtes animaux pour nous ça protéger eux aussi comme ça nous pour faire c'est premièrement faire assurer que nous pas ni pieds bois qui comme c'est de pousser avec branche même assez caille nous comme ça si pieds bois là tomber et que dommager caille là nous ne pouvons faire assurer si nous quand rester bord la mer ou à ces côtés la rivière que nous tenons en place ou la mer là pas arriver ou la rivière là même si la rivière a gonflé ou là pas arriver comme ça nous même ça savent qui nous pas en pièce danger.
Département pompier tapé des ambulances jeudi. Il y a une petite cérémonie pour place en l'occasion pompier en Wozo où là il y a aussi recevoir cela. Ministère de la Sécurité nationale, Honorable Charles Savin, permanent secrétaire Steve Hyacinth et Helen Roy, permanent secrétaire en ministre de la Santé, en parmi d'autres officiers gouvernement attendaient cérémonie là. Monsieur Josiah Dupuy, c'est chef officier pompier de la Dominique.
C'est plusieurs mois. Nous, département d'IFE, nous partenons toute ambulance qui nous besoin. Enfin, aujourd'hui, nous avons fait et puis plus d'ambulances, mais nous avons dit merci, nous tapons des ambulances aujourd'hui et aussi ces ambulances qui sont en service pour les gens qui ont besoin d'ambulance. Mais la cérémonie là, aujourd'hui, c'était aussi en célébration à qualité à travail mon département d'IFE aussi.
Et puis finalement, le gouvernement Dominique dépensé autant d'argent pour réparer l'école primaire en Guambé. Parole celle-là sortie du Parlement, Honorable Justin Charles.
De temps en temps, le gouvernement est pour dépenser l'argent dans ces infrastructures facilities. So, ça nous fait, ce gouvernement dépenser plus que $100,000 pour ranger auditorium section là, c'est top floor en l'école là. Toutes ces fenêtres là t'es qu'à tomber, t'es qu'à casser avec ce gouvernement ranger toutes ces fenêtres là, nous peinturer upstairs là pour faire environment là plus meilleur pour ces teachers là, ça teach et pour ces légions là apprendre because nous savons même si ces légions là teachers là, nous gouvernement nous supposé mettre ensure yo dans un environment où là yo les fait travail là ces légions il pas difficile pour faire ça pour faire so nous peinturer nous manger plumbing là because là tenir un petit problème avec ces privilèges avec pipes là so tout ça gouvernement aide pour avec electricity so yon plus que $100,000 nous dépenser en ça.
Messieurs mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nouvelles en créole pour à présent. Non moins c'est McPherson St. Luce. Au revoir.
Oh, thanks to McPherson. Coming up next, the tip of the day. Don't go away.
Scary. Everything just shaking and making big creaky noises.
Earthquakes, big and small, take place in the Caribbean at least 10 times a year.
The dishes rattling and falling and breaking. Then Vonnie started to scream.
All I could think to do was shout, "Get outside, get out!"
Earthquakes, hazards. Take control. Reduce your loss. If an earthquake hits, what can you do? Get down. Get under an item of furniture like a table. Hold on and stay there until the quake passes. Find out lots more about earthquakes and other hazards at your local disaster office. A message from your National Disaster Office and SIDERA.
Okay, today we'll continue to remind you about what you should do when a tropical storm has been issued. You are advised to leave low-lying areas, protect windows with plywood boards or stump shutters, secure outside objects, make sure you have plenty of fuel and water, have several days' supply of food and water for each family member. If called to evacuate, you need to do so immediately. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and your comments, so please feel free to drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm, or you can visit our website at news.gov.dm. Friend us on our Facebook page and be sure to like our GIS Dominica fan page. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Tarnia Green. Thanks for watching.